welcome to Butterflies of Wisdom, everyone. Due to technology issues, we had to start this interview all over again. Thank you very much, technology. But without further ado, I'm going to let Mr. Ramzy take it away.
Hey, Wynn. I hope that Aspen is treating you well. I listened to your last show with Darwin Dave, and it was a really incredible episode. Every time that I hear you on the radio, it's just incredible. And everybody, your fans, and the people that you work with have the same to say. You are a really bright star, like the North Star, where you keep our heads up, and you're like the light at the end of the tunnel. You're always there with positive energy, and it's very addictive. And I'm following Darwin. It was a really amazing episode, and I always listen. You're my favorite podcaster, Butterflies of Wisdom. You changed my life. 7 months ago, we did an episode, and I was in a really, really bad place in my life. I was drinking a lot, and I was drinking and driving, and I was working, and I was sleeping at my work. I didn't have anywhere to live, and I was going to college, $16,000 tuition that I was paying out of my pocket, and there was no way out of it. You can't go out of a student loan. You can't default on a student loan. And so my grandma had pancreatic cancer. She had 1 month to live, and you had me on your podcast, and you completely turned my leaf. You had me turn a new leaf, and it was you're just very inspirational, and you had my synapses firing, and my whole life took a new turn. So I just want to thank you for being you. You're just an amazing person, and everybody that knows you says the same thing.
Well, thank you for saying that, Ramzy. And did you ever get the student loans paid off? Because I know personally they can be a bugger to pay off. And if you don't have the financial support behind you, and if you don't have your wits about you, you're never going to get those student loans paid off. So did you get those student loans paid off?
Yeah, I paid for my entire education. I was on a Pell Grant, which they cover $3,500, and the other $13,000, I have about $5,000 to pay off. So I graduated on October 30th, Halloween, or maybe a couple days before that. But I ended up leaving because my lease was up on the Halloween. So I actually got on the road, driving through all the people in masks and costumes and taking candy. And a couple of days later, the Cubs won the World Series. So I was driving through the 7 states to come to California, where I'm at now. And, I have just a few more grand left. I worked for UPS. I was able to pay off. I worked on a farm, and I'm working in insurance, and I also got another job in a casino. But I did graduate with 564 credit hours, 524 credit hours, and all I needed was 360. So I'm, like you, your book is called Coming Home with Win.
No, I come a win. My life in a non-disabled world. Hope in life, my life in a non-disabled world.
Yeah, I know you wrote that 5 years ago in 2012, and I just wrote a grant because I'm 20,000 words into my novel. It's called My Seventh University. I have been to 7 universities, and this film school, I wrote a diary every day, and a novel is 40,000 words. I'm 20,000 words into it, and everybody wants to go to film school. Everybody wants to go to college, but there's a 50% dropout rate, and crime spike, and you're not even guaranteed a job. I started in the arts at 19. I went to Second City, Columbia, Gotham Writers Workshop, New York Film Academy, and Illinois Media School. And I still have yet to land a job. I've worked for Arab Daily News for 14 months. They never paid. I worked for Temecula News, where I live now, for 6 months. I worked in the press. They never paid. And so people need to know this. People need to know that it's not as cool as you think to be in the arts. It's very, very, it's not about suffering. You know, you don't want to suffer. Nobody wants to suffer. And people need to know what they're up against. And so I did write a novel, though, and that's why I'm calling in. I finished a novel called Never Repeat a Joke. It's about binary code and how social media hacks into our brains, and it forces us to work for them. You know, we're all like these Autobots that are forcing to amuse each other and behind the screen and lowering our serotonin, which causes depersonalization. And now everybody's calling themselves memists or sit-down comedians, and those don't exist. Those are not, you know, people are kind of, they're saying things like swag, which is short for swagger, and they're just making up words like YOLO, and kids think they know what they're doing, and they don't. It's all about respecting. It's all about respect. It's not about authority, but it's about prosperity. It's what philanthropy, you know, being humane, you know, humanity, autonomy. These lead to prosperity, and you and I know. You know, I'm 34. I've been through hell and back, hell and high water, and I'm just here. My book is under $1. It's 99 cents. It's published by Amazon. It has 46 reviews, all gold stars. That's 230 gold stars, and it's a really amazing novel. It's called Why Do We Never Repeat Jokes? And never repeat a joke is a cause. It's not I never repeat a joke or we, because everyone does it. So I don't put a personal pronoun before it, or I don't place a person before it, because it's a cause. Everyone does it. I'm going to be pitching it to investors on Wednesday. It's appraised 7 years ago. I started 8 years ago, but it was appraised 7 years ago at $10,000. I've worked with nursing homes, Sarah Silverman's grandmother. I've worked with disabled. My dad's a psychologist, so I was able to work at a lot of nursing homes and work with a lot of disabled. And I myself has a mental condition. I have tinnitus. I have ear ringing, and so my doctor told me that that art is going to save my life, and so I kind of just went into it full throttle. I've hired 20 comedians around the world. I've written for them. I have 230 videos on YouTube. All of them have about 400 views. I barely have any dislikes. And my show is 84 episodes. I've gone to 54 comedy clubs around the world and never repeated a joke. So it's also Never Repeat a Joke. It's also the title of my app. Never Repeat a Joke is the title of an app which you could download on Android. It's the title of my website, neverrepeatajoke.com. It's the web series, Never Repeat a Joke, the novel, Why Do We Never Repeat Jokes, the clothing line, the podcast. It's just my name, RAM.me. But it's the same ideology, and also there's the class, which I used to teach online, and the screenplay, which was before all of this in 2009. And what I don't know if you know this, but the term of when somebody shoots their own screenplay, which is what I did, it's called an auteur. But it was more of a reality show, and so I'm trying to sell the script. I'm trying to option the rights, which is why I'm going to be pitching to investors on Wednesday, because it's a cause. It's something. It's not for me. I'm not trying to make money.
So, okay, that's all said, and that's wonderful. But how can we all help you as community?
Well, it's 99 cents. You could purchase the paperback or the hardcover. I'll sign it. If you'd like, I'll give you shout outs. I always give shout outs. Anybody that leaves a review, I'll give you a shout out. As you said, it's not smart to leave a review without buying the book, but it is 99 cents, and it does explain exactly how Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Dorsey, Harry Reid, who's the founder of LinkedIn, Jack Dorsey, who's the founder of Twitter, how these people hack into our brains, and they're using us. I don't know if you know this, but Mark Zuckerberg, he pays $82 million a month to run Facebook, that website. So every user on Facebook costs $1 to be able to manage. And they're able to use our dopamine and our serotonin levels to, because we're behind the screen, it lowers our serotonin, and the way that we react, we go on and we create, we overachieve. We create these musings about, like, these one-liners and these zingers, and there's comedians. There's 60,000 comedians in every single city in the United States, and there's 52 cities in the United States. So that means there's almost 500,000 comedians in the entire world. And so these people, they're segregated into pranksters, jokesters, riddlers, memists, sit-down comedians, radio personalities, stand-up comedians, pranks. There's so many different types, improvisers, sketch artists, and basically we're all fighting for the same coin. And unless we could stand together and not stand divided, like Abraham Lincoln says, a house divided will fall or will not stand. Unless we could join hands and stand in unity, we're all going to fail. And Mark Zuckerberg will continue to line his pockets. And Jack Dorsey, these people will continuously feed off of us. And unless we could realize that that's something we're doing as a community, is not repeating jokes, and we could stand together. And I'm literally bombarded with insults every day. Comedians telling me, they're just judging me, telling me that they created and never repeat a joke, that I'm not funny, that I'm never going to succeed, and they're not realizing that I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for them. But comedians are such a hateful pact. It's a very territorial gang mentality, mob mentality, and they're so angry, and they're using me as their fall guy, as their whipping boy. And so you're asking me how people could help. I just want to know, what does never repeat a joke mean to you? Go on my Facebook page. I have 13,000 fans. As you know, I went to radio school, broadcasting school, which is what you do. I paid $16,000. My website cost $4,000. My app cost $3,000. All this is out of my own pocket, and I'm not doing it. It's not. The Joker said it's not about the money. It's about sending a message. And I just want people to know that I'm the father of anti-humor. I'm the founder of anti-humor. I'm just here I'm here to lend a hand, a helping hand. I just want to help people. But comedians are so angry in nature. They're just telling me to kill myself, and they try to get me kicked out of school, and they're just attacking me in every single way that they can. They just posting rude comments and ganging up on me. And if that's what they want, then that's okay, because I respect them. And like I said, an artist is about respecting people, respecting the different walks of life.
Yeah, and I understand the way it's coming from. And didn't you tell me 7 months ago, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you say Rosie O'Donnell was trying to get in a fight with you?
It was Amy Schumer.
Amy Schumer, that's it. It wasn't Rosie O'Donnell. It was Amy Schumer trying to get in a fight with you on Twitter. That shocked me, that Amy Schumer was trying to say you don't know what you're talking about, because you do know what you're talking about. And yes, people should go listen to your YouTube series, and people should respect you, but they don't. They don't respect me either, quite frankly, because we're cut from a different cloth.
Exactly. And it's called biting the hand that feeds you. In psychology, it's called Iliism, and we're trying to give people of our colleagues like a golden spoon, and they're just spitting food at us. And it's like, like for you, it's like being a mechanic and working on a car, and then people telling you that you're doing it wrong and that you're, you know what it's like actually when it's like going to a casino and playing blackjack, and then somebody yelling at you because you said hit. The next card, there's no way to count cards. The next card is not going to matter. And so there's no reason for somebody, your own colleague, to attack you. And there's people that I've worked with in the industry. I was a comedian from 2010 to 2014 that say that they never work with me. And that's just another one of the insults. I have 14 pages of, I collect them, and it's not because I wear them as war wounds or badges of honor. It's just because I want these people to know once I'm sought after, I was sought after by WGN and Matt TV, and I just wrote a grant last night, and I'm going to be pitching to investors that once they realize that they're wrong, I'm going to send them pictures and say, look at what you did to me. Like, look how much you made me suffer, and all I was doing was trying to help you.
Yeah, exactly.
And you told me to kill myself, and you told me, you were insulting me and calling me the R word and the N word and the F word, and for what? So, I mean, if we could stand together, we could go so much further. But if people are, there's that old saying that, like there's that old saying that if two people are on the same rope, if they go separate directions, they're both going to choke on that rope. But if they're both going in the same direction, if they go left and right at the same time, they're going to go so much further. And that's just how society works. I'm not doing it because I think I'm better than other people. But this was 8 years ago, so I've been dealing with this for 8 years, and I'm not complaining. I'm extremely blessed, and I'm extremely honored to be working with comedians. I think it's a very, if you remember Braveheart, he said that people follow courage and not titles. And so I find it to be, I find comedians to be warrior poets and truth warriors and freedom fighters. And I really aspire one day, as long as I'm not being attacked or people insulting me and with, being demeaning and demoralizing, that one day that I could actually repeat a joke. That's ultimately what I want to do. I want to be able to do stand-up comedy, to have a routine, and not have people tell me how to do my job and that I'm doing it wrong, and that I can't focus on my craft if I have people telling me that I'm not good enough.
See, I am, and I'll admit this publicly right now, but then I'm going to ask you the baseline questions that I normally ask people. See, I'm not in the same boat as you. One, I don't have tendonitis, which is ringing in the ears. Two, people seem to support my the work that I'm doing. I have been bullied by people in my family. But never cyberbullied, thank God, and never picked on Twitter and told to go to AGL double hockey sticks. And I feel so bad for you that you had to go through that, because when you told me 7 months ago you went to 7 universities and people would try and kick you out of school, it just broke my heart. So I'm happy that I was able to help you save yourself, but at the same time, I have always been loved, always been supported by my fan base and my family.
Yeah, I mean, the thing now is that people, Trump has been in office. The most powerful man one of the most powerful men in the world has been in office since November, which is 8 months. That was right before our interview. And the thing is that people have been honing their craft. They've been making fun of Trump for so long and been so creative with their insults that especially women, because he's a man, women are so much better right now at comedy than men. And Dave Chappelle, he came out with a special about 5 months ago. He forecasted, he said this was going to, foreshadowed this. He said this was going to happen. And, you know, Ghostbusters came out, and then Bridesmaids, and all these female cast movies, like this is a Christmas movie with all women. There's just so many female-oriented movies right now, and so many female comedians that there's a huge wave that's changing, and there's so many men. Like I said, there's so many male comedians. They have so much friction and anger, and they just want to attack people. And they're trying to attack women, and women are being so much stronger, and they hate Trump so much that they're not letting any men get to them, and they're doing what they want to do, and they're reflecting their whole society. The feminist movement is stronger than ever, and it's being led by comedians. And there's so many, you know, if comedians, if like my comedians of my ilk, of my gender could understand that I've been trying to help them for so long, and I knew this was going to happen, that eventually pretty women, you know, comedians that are pretty, because if you look at the history of stand-up comedy, there was Ellen DeGeneres, there was a couple of people that were roasters, there was Sarah Silverman, who only she does swears, you know, but right now there's Eliza Schlesinger. There's just so many comedians that are on the rise. There's Kim Jong, there's Kim Cho, and that's basically what's happening. The male comedian is going underwater. He's being washed up, and so I think right now people are starting to understand that I was trying to help them. That male comedians, we have this bravado, and that's what I've been talking about. That we want to have a badge of honor. We want to hold our chest up high. And right now there's so many people making fun of women, and that's a very cowardly thing to do. And so a lot of male comedians, they're going under, and female comedians are on the rise. They're the rising star right now, like Melissa McCarthy, and they're knocking it out of the park. And men don't know what to do because a lot of these women are pretty, and they feel they feel emasculated, and they feel like their manhood is being in question. And so there's a huge change. There's a new horizon right now with men and female. Like Jeff Ross had a TV show called The Battle of the Sexes, and women comedians. It's just the thing to do right now. And nobody cares about the male comedian. And so the reason why I think my app could help them is because the Never Repeat a Joke, which anybody that has an Android, please go on to your Play Store and download Never Repeat a Joke, the app. Just type it in as 4 different words or together. But what my app does is that it helps male and female comedians, because Seinfeld says that the comedian is dying also because if they see you on YouTube, they're not going to want to see your act. They already seen you on YouTube. They saw you on Netflix. They don't have to buy a ticket. They don't have to come to see you. They already saw you for free. But what Never Repeat a Joke does is that it allows people to not repeat jokes, put their original material, and they see your style. They see what your comedy is about, how quick-witted you are, and then because they'll never see that again, then they'll have the incentive to buy your tickets, and this will fill the seats. And this is what I'm going to be pitching to investors on Wednesday, that Never Repeat a Joke is the future for joke tellers and for joke telling. And, you know, female comedians, they're pretty, and they talk about female things, and women are always going to want to see them, and men are going to want to see how pretty they are, and, you know, and there's always this kind of edge to them. But for male comedians, we had a psychology kick with Bill Hicks, who was from Austin. He's called the King of Austin, and Daniel Tosh. You know, he did this. He had a whole set where he would talk about what his jokes were about. And now you see some African American comedians. They're on the rise, but really it's about the female comedian. And the only way that we could all go along to get along, the only way that we all could succeed is by Never Repeat a Joke. It'll help you fill the seats, and it'll help the male comedian not be washed up, and it'll help us make money. That's essentially what bookies are doing. That's basically what I would be doing. I would be playing the role of a bookie and getting people work. But what bookies are doing now is they're feeding alcohol as compensation, as a currency. And so if you do a show, if you go on the road, they'll give you like $50 and they'll give you like a bottle of Jack. And then you'll end up getting a DUI or you'll end up having alcoholism. And so I'm really trying to help people. The thing is that although Amy Schumer attacked me, I'm not really attacked by many women. Many women, they really enjoy my work and what I do because I don't attack women. That's something that I would never do. My mom raised me right, and my sister, and male comedians, they're like a wounded animal. They'll attack anything, But I never swear. I don't attack women, but it's clean family fun, and that's what fills the seats these days, and that's the future.
Okay, so Ramzy, what do you think comedians should do if they're not going to be clean family fun, like Mark Mann, who runs WTF Podcast, and yes, he says WTF Podcast, that's the name of his podcast, and he gets thousands and thousands of downloads on the podcast, but he's not a clean comedian by any means.
Yeah, well, first of all, you're going to quarantine your audience because if iTunes will not allow anybody under 18 to listen to your podcast, you will not have any families, which is like 4 or 5 listeners just in one area, one designation. So you're gonna uproot families. You're gonna miss out on anybody 18 and younger, and also women. They don't find that to be funny. If you swear, if you cuss, usually it's about why you hate women, and it has something to do with women, or it's some kind of gender specific something about it's usually something to do or it leads up to about women, and that's why women have the upper hand now. And so, to answer your question, if you are going to swear and cuss and drink and do drugs and talk about that, and just do whatever you want and just kind of be wild, I would think that a podcast would not be the greatest idea. I think maybe a prank show like the Impractical Jokers, where you could kind of, if something goes wrong, then it helps you, because that's what ultimately what's going to happen. If you cuss, you swear, you do drugs, and a lot of things are going to go wrong. A lot of things are going to go south. You're going to get in trouble with the police. Parents are going to call you upset. And so if you're a prankster, that'll help you.
Yeah. So you believe pranksters should be pranksters and nothing else. Now, Ramzy, What is your favorite book? It doesn't have to be business related. It just has to be a book that you go time and time again.
Call of the Wild.
Call of the Wild? Why would you say that?
I work on a farm, and I'm constantly around animals, and I just love being in nature. I love the sound of my feet on the concrete. I love to run. I love to go uphill, downhill. I love to sweat. Just being around dogs, they don't feel any guilt, but they have these human tendencies where they could read you, but you could have a full conversation with animals, and that's something that you really can't do with a lot of people. And so Call of the Wild is it's a very quick read. You can read it in one night, and I'm not sure how well the movie went when it was produced, but it's kind of like Call of the Wild. It's kind of like Into the Wild. It's just about kind of just going out with nature with a couple of wolves and just seeing where they lead you.
Well, isn't that interesting? And what is your favorite technology tool that you use on a daily basis?
Well, I mean, I wanted to thank you again because when you're my number one fan on Twitter, and I'm on Twitter hours on end. I'm on Twitter. That's like you said, that's the tool that I use the most, and I'm constantly seeing you reply and retweet and heart. And I run my business partner has myocognitive autism, so I run his Twitter handle, and I have a podcast handle up for Twitter, and then I have my business Twitter and my personal Twitter. So I'm just kind of jumping back and forth, and and optimizing. And I just want to thank you. You are so active, and you're always on the ball, and you really inspire me. You're very inspirational.
Well, I try to be always on the ball. No, Twitter is the best friend to a podcast, and it's the best friend to a YouTuber more than Facebook, because Facebook, you can go on and on and on. And in your book, you said Facebook sucks you in. Twitter, you have to be precise. You have to be on ball.
Yeah, exactly. Twitter is an RSS feed, and I'm really glad that you got that far into the novel. And I mean, you know, the thing that's crazy is that my novel it explains how brain waves are the same as bandwidth nowadays, and this explains why, like the new Spider-Man movie that came out, it shows Spider-Man in he has a very low IQ, and that, you know, a lot of people are saying millennials are the problem nowadays, but the thing is that it's our brains, it's everybody's problem, and our problem is that our brain waves equal bandwidth, and the reason why I could prove this is that if you go onto Google right now, and if it doesn't load, you're going to break a computer, you're going to punch your computer, you're going to cuss, so how fast your computer goes, how fast your phone goes, if you have reception, that's bandwidth. That's how far it goes back and forth from the satellite. And your brain waves are relying on those bandwidths. And so people nowadays, like, they won't go into an airplane or a hotel or a cafe if it doesn't have Wi-Fi. And so essentially what bandwidth is what brain waves are. And so we're being hacked. That's what I was saying earlier, that we're being hacked by Facebook, not by YouTube, because that's vlogging. It's different. You know, you could do real-time interactions with people. But Facebook, they hack into your brain, and it's where they say that you have privacy, and you don't. You have no privacy. Family members are stealing each other's passwords, and there's no confidentiality, and we're being. It explains further in my novel, but I really think, you know, Facebook stock started at $19, now it's $32, and like I said, they're spending $82 million a month just to run that website, and it's going to go under. I really believe. I mean, it's a great tool if you're on vacation, or if your family lives in another country, or if you want to stay in touch with your family. But right now, Facebook is all about this comedy scene, and that's why I'm trying to help. I don't want anything to happen, any bad thing to happen to anybody. I'm very optimistic, and I'm very, you know, I'm just a very positive person, but I believe that there's way too much going on right now with Facebook and comedians, and they're trying to be comedians, and there's really nobody that's, like, it's such a quaint and feeble definition of what a comedian is. And my book it gives you the criteria of how to judge a comedian, and that's not what Facebook's job is. Facebook's job is to have a tight community, and you do that very well. You have a very huge following, but for Twitter, like you said, it's very direct. If you want to complain about customer service, if you want to contact Amy Schumer, anything like that, you could do that. It's an RSS feed, but still, anything behind the screen is not good. And never repeat a joke. It's face-to-face. It's visceral.
And Ramzy, where can people find you, and how can people get a hold of you? Then I want you to ask me a couple questions that you have been dying to ask me, and then we'll close out this show.
Okay, great. Yeah, just Google Ramzy Sweis, and anything that comes up, feel free to comment, share, tag, across your social media platforms. My email is ramzysweis@gmail.com. Feel free to contact me. I do free consultations, one-on-one consultations, and I'm for hire if you need me to write jokes for you, if you want to do another interview or if anybody listening wants to do an in-station interview. I live 70 miles north of San Diego and about 110 miles south of L.A., so I'm very, very open and willing to working and collaborating with anybody that's listening. Just shoot me an email, send me a direct message. I'm at Ramzy Sweis on Twitter. My Facebook is facebook.com/Ramzy Sweis. And, I'm very active on LinkedIn as well. And you could download me on your Play Store, or you could go on Amazon. The novel is 99 cents. And so, all right, so is it question time?
Yes, it's question time. You've been dying to ask me this question. I know you have.
Yeah. First of all, so Danielle Coulter is your receptionist?
Danielle Coulter is my assistant, yes, and she's also my BFF. She is my right-hand woman. Without her, I cannot do this podcast.
Okay, great. And okay, I have a couple more. So as I've said multiple times, I highly value your opinion. And can I count on you to go on Amazon? And it doesn't have to be today; it could be any time. But eventually, can I count on you to I don't know if you have 99 cents, but if you could.
Eventually you can, and eventually I will, and it will be in the next. Let's say it will be mid-August that I do this, because I'll buy it along with my textbook. Quite frankly, my textbook is on Kindle, so I'll buy it along with my textbook. And so
yeah, I'll buy yours. We'll do a swap. You buy mine, I'll buy yours.
Yes, I will buy it along with my textbook, which will probably be in mid-August.
Okay, and I really love Butterflies of Wisdom. I love the title. But why don't you have a Twitter handle, Butterflies of Wisdom? Is it just under Win Kelly? That's it? Everything's under there?
It's just under Win Kelly. I haven't got wherewithal yet to get Butterflies of Wisdom handle. I am, maybe in the next 2 years, you guys, I will get Butterflies of Wisdom handle, because it's all under my personal Twitter. I have another podcast right now which is going under rebranding, and it's on a little bit of hiatus. The podcast feed is still in iTunes, believe it or not, but it's going under rebranding, and so right now it's on my main Twitter of Win Kelly Talk, and eventually I'll get a Butterflies of Wisdom handle.
Yeah, you could just hashtag Butterflies of Wisdom, and I saw all of your guests, and your guests, like I said, they have nothing but good, positive. They're very grateful, and I have two more. There's one more question. I have two more questions.
Yep.
One is, so when did you start, and who was your favorite guest?
When did I start, and who was my favorite guest?
Did you start in 2012? Did you start when you wrote your novel?
I started when I wrote my original book, I Come a Win. I have been doing this since, the book came out in 2012. I've been doing this since the summer of 2012, and actually the summer of 2013. And I got to interview I actually got to be on her podcast, and I got to interview her way back when, and she is also famous independent published author, and I got to interview her. I also got to interview J.J. Virgin, which was a thrill for me, talking about mindset and cerebral palsy. J.J. Virgin is a New York Times bestselling author, and she's also really known in the fitness industry, and she wrote a book about her son surviving the car accident and getting a brain injury, and then talking about mindset. That's all she talks about in this new book, about how to focus on mindset. So my two favorites have been J.J. Virgin and Joanna Penn. Joanna Penn is no longer on the feed because that iTunes only shows 100 episodes. So Joanna Penn is still on my website, no, but J.J. Virgin is no longer on the feed either. She's still on my website because, as I said, iTunes only shows 100 episodes.
I see. Well, thank you very much. And like anybody who's ever met you, you're just an amazing person. And we just, we're so thankful that you're doing this podcast and you have a way for us to keep in touch with you.
Well, thank you for saying that. And I hope you guys enjoyed another fabulous episode of Butterflies of Wisdom with Ramzy, and go help Ramzy out, please. That's why I brought him back on my podcast, and I hope to help him out and hope to stay in touch.
Thank you, Ann. I love you.
Thank you.